noticed, like, when the steps through the questions, there was one of the questions that I felt like I was getting answers to one of the other questions
Oh, yeah.
that were in the lineup. It didn't feel like it was lining up.
Yeah, that could happen, that is not sequential. Or even you could be receiving answers to something you asked a year ago. You totally forgot about. Yeah, can happen. Yeah, remember, some don't care about space and time. It's like, oh, just review and stuff. Sometimes it's funny because you can even get an answer because before you end formulating a question, which is like weird, and makes you think, oh, am I making this up? Because I didn't even ask yet. How could I possibly be getting the answer? But yeah, it happens. You really have an intention of asking. So the intention is broadcast before the question even goes out, and then you just get the answer. Yeah, it happens. So yeah, I guess we can go ahead.
Anthony Arizona.
You wanna try?
No, which looks like it's not a real place. Maybe it's Anthony.
In Arizona.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, because
Oh, can we record this?
we can go slowly for noise.
Yeah, this is the one that we just recorded.
Sorry.
So how was the process of asking and receiving? How did that feel?
So I had a pretty, between these two level 12 experiences, had a very different experience. The first one, when we went to level 12, I kind of dissolved. And then I kind of like came back feeling like there was some type of like explosion that I remember, but then almost, whereas this second time that we went to level 12, I felt present and aware, and maybe that's because the intention was to like, the other one was just to experience level 12, so maybe, I don't know, I had like some like quantum explosion from my own intention of what I was maybe expecting. And then because we knew that there was like solutions and questions, maybe that's why it felt very different than the first one, because then this one I was almost more aware than level 10, whereas like going into the first one I thought it would be deeper than level 10. And then this one I felt almost more awake, more aware than level 10. And then as far as answering questions, you know, I really took in what you said about like, there's a frequency difference between asking a question and receiving an answer. So I kind of skipped over the question and was like, well, just give me the answer. Why do I need to ask what the question is then? And I did receive, a lot of very like simple, basic answers around like kindness and like, you know, being yourself, and that people are always like most loved when they're just being themselves, and there's very like simple, fundamental things. So it wasn't like this groundbreaking insight. It was actually like back to the basics of like kindness is what matters. And then for the third one, I saw myself in the void, and the next book that I'm working on, I saw it in my hands, and then it gave me some insight on what to include, because it's basically like gave me like a little chart to kind of draw so that I can explain to people kind of taking it as a concept and taking it in as a feeling, and where it'll show up on different parts of the scale. So it showed me a scale, and then I drew that. But so I didn't actually ask questions. I just was like, just tell me the answers.
That is an interesting approach. And it's funny that you call it basic because
Like the fundamentals of just existence.
that is so profound.
Okay. Anybody else?
I had three very distinct separate questions and tried to ask non-verbally, as you suggested. And I felt like the second answer that came to me was that the question was the proof, because I wasn't receiving any input about what answer I was hoping for or what I might be receiving, and all I got, not that it's small, but just that the fact that I was asking was the answer. And that felt pretty good.
That is a very good one, and actually, that is a very nice example of how your expanded awareness communicates with you. It's not linear. It's really the way you describe it. It's this, like, how do you know where it.
Yeah. And I could go really in depth with each one.
I like this quality that came through too. I was like, what do I need to know? And I got this like very clear picture of the monkeys in a house and just like pure chaos. Oh, okay. Feels right.
Yeah, that's also a very good way of presenting something. Maybe you don't have anything specific, and sometimes the ego gets in the way, and we think we need this or we need that, and sometimes it's something entirely different. So once in a while, it's a good thing to ask, hey, what is the most important message I can get right now, or what should I be looking into? And it's often unexpected. Sometimes it's something you expect, you're working on, and sometimes like, oh, I never looked into that. Maybe I should start looking into it.
And also, they have such a great sense of humor.
I love Spirit for that so much.
Sometimes we're so serious, asking these questions, and these guys, these guys are your total self. Just like, yeah, like.
Yeah, and it's often very graphic like that. Yeah, house full of monkeys doesn't get any more clear than that. Yeah. Just curious, Jacqueline, you don't need to share the content, but did you get to ask about what we talked about before?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's hard to say if there was like a response, or sometimes in the quietness is where you're kind of formulating that for yourself, maybe like. But I thought it was a very interesting exercise to pose questions in this environment. So I enjoyed that part of it. And I think it's just unpacking larger questions surrounding fear. I feel like that's something that's been coming up a lot too, just generally, the kind of it's a strange thing for me because I view myself as a very fearless person, and I throw myself into really intense experiences all the time, or even just the nature of my work is very intense. But yet there's darker crevices of there is still fear back there that's looming, and driving you and at the back of certain things, and how do you sort of reconcile these creative and destructive energies within yourself? And these highs and lows that are fertile places too. I don't know. It's just opening up a lot of questions with that in terms of how you use and find and create with the dark and light forces or something within yourself. I don't know.
Right.
I guess those are some of the questions I'm trying to that was starting to provoke.
Yeah.
But in terms of how you fully untangle it, I feel like I'm just at the beginning of that question. If there's many more that have to come through it, but there's something about the silence of posing a question and letting yourself do the work or something.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And regardless of whether you get a straight answer or not, just the fact that you are deliberately in that mindset, okay, now my intention, spoken or unspoken, is I'm gonna work on this thing. So that already puts you in this vector of finding the solution for that. And it could come now, it could come, probably it's a big rabbit hole, that you gotta go in there and question and revise all your motivations and your actions and this and that. It's usually a deep work, but it's the beginning of it, which is beautiful. Yeah, and fear is very interesting in the sense that we don't want it because it gets in the way, but we also get a lot out of it. Like you said, the nature of your work is like very intense and you just jump into things. And maybe, I don't know, maybe that is related to fear too, because we often have what we call contraphobic reactions, like maybe if I'm afraid of something, maybe just do more of that, some people run away from it, some people tend to jump into it. Like maybe people who are afraid of something, maybe they tend to drive much faster, and it makes them more daring and more maybe they're bigger risk takers and things like that. So, yeah, it's not black and white. It's a lot of negotiation going on in there.
Yeah, and it's interesting too, because even just the process of being on set, it's like building up to that. There's so much anxiety and there's so much energy and there's so much tension.
Right.
And then it's like, then once I'm on set and it's starting to happen, and if it starts to go in like this direction that I'm really happy with, that's like that breakthrough moment. But it's like, they're intertangled, they're very intertangled,
Yes.
like, yeah, I don't know, it feels like a very big question.
Yeah, it is.
Suppose, so.
Yeah. Probably you're gonna have to, like go back again and again and get more and more information. And I guess bottom line is becoming aware of what's going on in there. Some parts of it you know what they're about, some parts you don't. You're just figuring them out as you go. And then once you have the full awareness of everything, it's like, okay, now I'm at the wheel. Now I can take actions based on this or that, what I just learned, and hey, get some freedom. So at the end of the day, that's what it is. Instead of being a victim of what's going on, now you're on command, and now you can choose what happens next. Great.
Even that path that you described yesterday, where you begin with smaller things so that when you're facing bigger things, you're prepared. It's actually the same thing you can use with this kind of method, where you begin asking for smaller things, and that's how we can apply it in the daily life, where, like, where are the best avocados? Where do I want to go for dinner? That kind of stuff. And then when you're posing these bigger questions, your mind is used to it, like you have the muscle to do it. And it's so easier to get these big answers.
Yeah, I was thinking about that in the context of like, okay, if I'm thinking about looking at my hands, how do I use that, or how do I pull back from that? How do I just like try a little bit, and then be like, good job, you're doing great, you know what I mean? Like how you can kind of play with it in these like really small steps, so it doesn't feel so like, overwhelming, and then you can kind of get to that transference of like the emotion behind it. So I don't know, I was thinking about that, like how do I use, there's something with the hands that's obviously really important to me in particular, so like how do I use that? I don't know.
You can start there experimenting with that. You've already done a lot of that in your own films and using your hands, and probably now it's gonna take a new dimension.
It's funny when these aha moments come, you realize that you have all the pieces that you need, like you have everything. You just never saw it that way, like it all seemed separate at first. But then, you begin little by little, and you see, oh, I needed this, because then this happened, and this led to that, and now I have this, and I've been using that here, so I can use it now here, and ta-da!
I think the thing that was most of like the aha moment was the emotions at the back of it, because I'm very good at keeping my emotions like very buttoned up, because I kind of have to for work and stuff. You just have to have this threshold of stress that you're just like, I'm cool. I'm like captain of the ship. No problems here, nothing to see. And like, I think that so it's like intellectually I may have known some of these things, but it's the emotional part of it where I feel like it actually sinks, or actually is like resonating on like a deeper level that maybe I wasn't able to break through as much because I wasn't letting the emotions process through it, but it was more just like the intellectual part that I knew these things were connected. So I think that's what I'm appreciating. Even though it's weird to be emotional, because that's not what I want to do. I'm like, no, I'm not emotional. It's fine. You know, like, put it on lockdown. But yeah, so it's interesting. Like sometimes that's what is needed. That the emotion is the thing that connects it. You know, beyond the other aspects of consciousness or something.
Especially because in these states, your intellect is never going to get you there. It's actually the energy of the emotions. Like that's the bridge.
Yeah, definitely.
That is a very good point. Yeah. That is actually, maybe that is like the missing ingredient when we're talking about intention. Because very often it's just an intellectual concept or a sentence, I want this. But yeah, there's emotion attached to it, then it's real.
Yeah, there's so many layers to understand it. First one is usually rational, but it's pretty limited. Then there's more layers to like the emotional, even the physical. And one example of that is how many times have we heard we are one with all. It's a very beautiful concept, we're one with all. But do we really grasp the totality of that thing? No, we don't. And if we did, we would be instantly enlightened. And we would be Buddhas or something. Because then we would really be one with all. We really are, but we would have the full awareness of it. But if we don't, it's just a mental concept. And then probably it's the emotion that we can add to it, and then there's another layer, and then there's another layer, and it's like, we're really one with all, like, look at this. Yeah.
I think
Yeah, well,
I just wanted to share, speaking of layers, like I noticed kind of the building of imagery. Like yesterday, there were some, I saw these kind of blobs of this color, and then it wasn't taking form, it was just blobs of color. And then in another session, I saw it more spotlight, that it was a sun that was shining on, but it was yellow. So when you walked in this morning to breakfast, I had this like, oh, that's exactly the color. And color's like my language, you know? So that was like, okay, interesting synchronicities. And then in this session, in this past one, it's not linear. It wasn't like a linear answer to a question, but I saw a house and it was yellow. It was the same yellow. It was a villa, and it was fleeting, and I saw it fast, and I thought, well, that's a beautiful house, and I thought I was just going to discard it. But then Spirit showed it to me again, clearer, closer, like pay attention.
look at this.
And it didn't make sense in line with what the question was, but I'm remembering that it's like a layer to, and it will be revealed, but you know.
Yes, and that is like a confirmation. Like, it is actually a confirmation that your answer is on the way. Like, you get these clues, like, yes, it's good.
And it started as a blob, and it's
Yeah.
taking more forms.
And often also it takes you figuring things out because often we can get a straight answer and that's fine, and often for the lesson to be fully learned it takes us figuring things out, doing the work of untangling that or figuring what the answer is. So it's a beautiful example of, here's a little teaser, like here's the yellow sun, maybe you should pay attention to yellow from now on. And then it's her wearing yellow, and then it's a yellow house, and you sort of look the other way, it's like, no, look closer to the yellow. So sort of teasing you to, engage your curiosity and get deeper into it, and probably this yellow thing, whatever it is at the end, it's gonna unfold for you. It's gonna have some deeper meaning. Yeah. Often, actually, we trainers also do that, Often a lot of people ask, hey, I just have this ring, what does it mean? And maybe it's very obvious, maybe it's very symbolic, and anyone can interpret it, but we don't. We say, okay, what do you think? So we return the question, how about you ask me the next exercise? So they get to do the work, you get to do the work.
I've been asking Chad, to analyze dreams lately, and I'm glad that I'm not doing that now, but, the phone is not part of me. It's been helpful, it's been actually
Yeah.
very insightful, because my chat knows me really well, and thank you, Jen, for opening that door for me. But now it's like, it's a machine. I need to,
Yeah.
this machine needs to be functioning.
Yeah, and you know what's very interesting? That all the gadgets that we now have, and now with technology is just exploding, it's going exponential, especially with AI. From phones to email to the internet to AI itself, it all mimics abilities that we already have, or we once had and maybe forgot about it. Like telepathy, like the ability to tap into the source of all information, which is like now, well, even Google now is obsolete, because you can just ask AI and it's gonna narrow it down for you. But we can do that without it. You can tap into your higher self and just get the same information. So it's great that you're doing that. Yeah, without the machine.
And then ChatGPT knows where you've been. It doesn't necessarily know where you're going, but your total self does. So it can give you answers based on your previous experiences, but very often that's where the survival is. So, these past experiences brought you so far, but now your future is calling you to chat at the moment.
Great. Yes, Anima, sorry, you had a question.
Yeah, I asked question very focused, got answers. Just want to know that how much guarantee is that the answer is correct?
No.
Oh no.
No. Trust your gut feeling. Probably you will feel like, yes, this resonates true, this screams true. And sometimes you're like, no, that's yes, that doesn't sound right. So yeah. Again, it's part of the learning process. When you get some piece of information, see how it resonates within. Because sometimes you have a way of verifying it, and sometimes you don't. So, and then also, reality is going to give you feedback. So for instance, if you ask a question and you get an answer, and you act upon that answer, and you start taking action in your life based on that answer, reality is going to give you feedback. And whether things go right or things go wrong, that's going to be your feedback, like, oh, maybe that wasn't a good answer. Makes sense?
And so I've been before your plan has been transition. I that whole before this passing 8 months, I was seeing elephants everywhere. Elephants. I was like, what is going on? So this time when I asked one question, first was like, what should I do? What should I do? What's my next step? So I saw a big elephant again. And in the end of the exercise, the elephant came again. So I was like, why this elephant is coming so much? And the elephant came after so long now. It was coming before Jordan's transition and now. And then a crocodile also came. What is happening to the animal? So, and I was doing Google, was it a crocodile or alligator? Well, it was a crocodile. So if anyone knows, I'm on the Spirit Animal website right now, but yeah, these two things were very...
Yeah, and often it's like that. The answer is not fully clear. It's like, oh, you should do this, and that. Sometimes people get it like that. Some people even hear it in their ears, like, oh, this is what you should do. But more often than not, it's not like that. Again, there's some figuring out on your side. So for instance, you get the elephants over and over and over again. Maybe one way to start figuring that out is thinking of the qualities of an elephant.
And I also saw a ribbon, and I was cutting that ribbon. So there was a ribbon, and I was like cutting that ribbon. So in my head, I was thinking it was cutting cord. I don't know, just making my mind making it up after I got up.
Yeah.
But these two things were very prominent: cutting cord and elephant.
Yeah. So for instance, that again is very symbolic. And what does cutting a ribbon generally imply? Generally, they do that when they're inaugurating something new that is coming, and you're just opening that thing, a new building, a new life, a new beginning, could be anything. So that's usually the part that you need to do in interpreting that. Yeah. Also, you can ask again, like you can, instead of making it question and answer and end of story, you can have question, answer, and then more questions about that particular answer, so you can narrow it down. in this case would be, okay, what should I do next? Elephant. What about the elephant? What does the elephant mean? And then maybe you get another image. And then crocodile. Okay, how about this guy? What does this mean? Ribbon. Oh, is this a new beginning? Is this, what is it? And then the flow gets pretty fast, pretty quick. Yeah. Thank you. Yes.
I know I already shared. I didn't expect to share this, but I think it's pretty interesting that in my first question, I'm waiting, I sent out, I'm waiting, and I saw a green wall and it said help and it had an arrow and there was a door, and I'm like, okay, I go through the door, I get the answer. I open the door and I was in Cracker Barrel. And I was like, why am I in Cracker Barrel? And I was in a memory. And basically, the memory, I think the answer was that it was a happy memory. The feeling of that memory was the answer, like, because it was answering my question about like family healing, and that was a really positive memory. And so I left Cracker Barrel and was like, what the heck? Why did I go to a memory? I don't have the answer. But I think in the non-linear side of things, it's kind of showing that as maybe you will feel this again, or it will come full circle. Maybe you already had it, you still have it, we're just getting back to it in a cyclical way. So I felt like that was profound.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if I wanted to share it and be recorded, but I felt compelled to.
Thank you for doing that. And it's a beautiful example of how it usually goes. It's often a memory, and not only the memory, but in this case, the emotion associated to it. Like, that is the answer, that emotion. Maybe bring that back into your life, or, pay more attention to it, make it bigger. Yeah, it's a beautiful example. Thank you.
I would like to say thank you so much, because I feel like I feel connected with everyone, but whenever you share something, it's like I'm like, oh yes, maybe that is why this happened. So
Thank you.
and it's so lovely that it's great that everyone is sharing it, and especially the intense emotional moment. I think there is something for every one of us, and I feel it. Thank you for sharing.
Same with you.
Yeah, very, very true. And it's often like this. It's in these moments when we share it that you often give answers to each other.
Right.
And it's like, oh, that's what I needed to hear right now, because that's so in line with what I'm exploring.
Yeah, because I saw my, when you said family, I saw my father, because when I was little, I had a picture where my father was picking me up and an elephant was there. And I saw it too. So when you said it, I'm like, oh yes, I saw it too. So maybe there is something, yeah, I was like, giving me goosebumps.
Yeah, write it down. Perfect. Anything else?
It's just a small comment, but I just like that there's like this time collapse that's happening in this building or something, or around this whole space, and that like we're all experiencing these memories, and like how it's kind of interacting with our like current selves and our future selves, and it's just like it's all kind of dissolving, because that's something I've really like felt as well, as the memories are really sharp in this process.
Yeah.
So that I wasn't expecting that, or I wasn't thinking that would be part of the process, I guess. So I appreciate that.
Yeah. Yeah, everything tends to merge, past, present, future, and not only our individual past, present, futures, but everyone else's. Yeah. Sometimes I think of the implications of the soul groups, how they interact with each other and everything, and yeah, after a while it gives me a headache, because I try to do it from the rational mind, dissect everything, all the implications become so big that my brain collapses. Beautiful. So I was thinking, we still have some time before lunch. How about we do this, or think it's a good idea?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you all have your notebooks with you?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So during the exercise, you have one encoding. Bob said something like, next time you need to use this process, all you need to do is take a deep breath, think of number 12, think of the question or problem you have, and when you exhale, just wait for an answer. So we're gonna do this here now, and you can start with a small question just to prove the concept or get the thing rolling, or it can be a follow-up or whatever happens during your exercise, just to prove to yourself that you don't need the headphones, you don't need to do it in a dark room, whatever. You can do it here now. You can do it at any time during your life. And it could be something very profound and spiritual, could be business related, could be something very technical, anything goes really. And it's very practical. I use it so often. I use it every time I use my car keys and it works. I use it when I need an idea. I use it today because we were in sort of a conundrum. I was like, how are we gonna make this work? I was like, okay, solution 12, and it sort of played out. So yeah. So
You go through all the process of kind of preparation?
Oh no, absolutely
Just
not.
12 and boom?
Yeah, absolutely. So take a deep breath, hold the breath for a second, and yeah, just a
I
second.
have a massage at once, so I'm gonna leave now, so.
Okay, perfect. Yeah.
Everybody.
Yeah. So you can practice whenever you want, also. Yeah, take a deep breath, think of the question and number 12 along it, and then sort of send it away, symbolically send it away. Yeah, so simple as that. Just the one breath technique. Do it here now, and it could be any question really. And again, it could be just one, or if you're not clear about the answer, prompt it again. Keep on going. Or it could be 2 different ones, 3 different ones. Just a few minutes for this. Okay.
Keep it simple. Or whatever comes. I'm ready.
how's it going? How did it go? Seems like all of you got some stuff, right? So you can incorporate this into your life really easily. And you don't even need pen and paper, you know, you can be in a business meeting, you can be walking down the street, you just take a break and do your thing, and you're gonna get the ideas flowing. Like everything, the more you do it, the better it works. Practice makes perfect. And it's a pretty awesome thing to incorporate into your life.
So we have to do, after saying 12, then we have to get that, we should say 1, 2?
Not necessarily. No, you can just do the 12 thing and then continue. Yeah. I remember once I had a young guy in one of my very first, actually maybe it was my first ever workshop. And everyone finished and he kept on writing. He kept on writing and writing and writing and page after page after page after page. And I was like, okay, I don't want to interrupt the flow. Letting me. And then I saw what happened. And he was like, well, everything happened. He was like, I own a small business and I wanna focus, I wanna steer my entire business into a new market. I need a new business model, I need a new product, I need a new brand, new stuff. And he had everything, timelines, business plan, an entire business plan he wrote with everything. Margins, prices, products, everything. It was like, you know, charts, the whole thing. And it was his first time ever doing this. He was just sitting there page after page and I said, I got it, I got everything. He said, I've been thinking about this for months and I just got it. So it's this kind of thing. It can be that fast. Yeah. I use it all the time. You know, I leave things behind all the time. And I say, oh, where's my car keys? Where's my ID card? What is this? Where is that? And I just do the one breath and then I let go. And I keep on maybe walking around but aimlessly, not fretting or, you know, kind of desperate, just trusting that it's gonna come. And then maybe I have a flash of a drawer. Oh, never looked in there. I open the drawer, there it is. No, that kind of thing. Ooh. Okay guys, let's go for lunch.